Hello and welcome to I Think I'm Human Too. If you are new here, we're so excited to welcome you, but everyone's new here right now because
right.
we're in Mexico. I cannot even believe we're in Mexico. This feels so funny to me. My husband and I, not you and I, my husband and I just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and I got invited by the resort that's hosting us. They were like, we would love for you guys to come and like tour and review our resort, and they let us pick dates, and my husband and I were like, oh, okay, perfect, let's go for our anniversary trip. And then we ended up being like, do you want to go to Mexico? To a bunch of our friends.
I hopped on real quick.
Freaking quick. So to my left, which would be opposite on the camera, so it'll be there, right?
Yeah. Right.
There's the ocean. If you hear birds, if you hear the water, honestly, let's just take a moment of silence.
So peaceful.
Mexico. Savannah is with me at Nurse Savannah Brennan on Instagram. I had her on last week and we talked about friendship, talked about random stuff that we could come up with. And if you know and you follow me for quite some time, I always like to do a part 1 and a part 2 because I just miss out on a lot. So we got some questions to go over from last week's episode. We will also be doing a giveaway too. So every week I try to do something related to that episode, and this week's is friendship. So I opened up on Instagram to see like what friends would want as a giveaway gift. So we'll give a code word throughout this episode. So be listening to that. We'll announce like, hey, your hint word is coming.
Yeah, we'll give you a warning because we can trail off a lot.
Yeah. We'll just say a random word. Was that the word? I don't know, actually.
Maybe.
Okay. So we do got a couple questions. I'm going to just try and pick a couple to go through. Perfect. So someone said, can you turn up the mics? It's too quiet when I'm trying to clean. Shout out to you for cleaning and listening to our podcast. We absolutely love that.
Multitasking at its finest.
But to be quite honest, I don't know how to turn them up.
Santino.
So Santino, we'll have to talk about that. You talked about moving on from your friends. Did you feel like anyone has outgrown you? That's actually a good one.
Wow. That is a good one. I feel like yes, because it goes both ways. And it's like, even though we all have those days where we're like, okay, yeah, I'm the problem. And you go through phases where you're not your best self, where people do have to outgrow you. Like you talked about Haley having to step aside last week when you were going through that rough spot. She didn't necessarily outgrow you, but for that time she had to step away. I think that people outgrow people no matter what, because you're just on different life paths. Yeah. And you have people in your life that are supposed to stay and supposed to leave. But that's normal. That's relationships. I don't have anyone specific that I can think of, but I have a lot of friendships that I can think back on and be like, yeah, those aren't my friends anymore. Did they outgrow me? Possibly, or maybe I outgrew them. It's hard to know because if you're not present in their life anymore, you don't really know for sure.
I feel like when I think of the word outgrow and like you outgrew a friend, yeah, that's like a very vague term, but I feel like it's kind of mean.
Yeah, kind of like you're propelling forward and they're staying stagnant. Like that's how I kind of view it. And you're
basically saying I'm doing better than you.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I think that's kind of how I interpret it too.
I like to just think that we're outgrowing each other. It just is what it is. Or not even outgrowing. We're just growing away, growing apart. I don't know.
You're growing into who you're supposed to become. Because as you get older, I feel like you figure out who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to become.
Yeah.
So I feel like when you're outgrowing people, you're outgrowing them because you're growing, which is sometimes a sad thing, but it is because you're growing. And other people are growing too, whether it's at a different pace. Well, it's always at a different pace. But
growth is change, and everyone changes and does different things. I mean, you have different goals and aspirations. We were talking about that last episode of like, just because it's someone else's goal and their dream, it doesn't mean it's a bad one. It just means it's not mine. I can't think of someone specifically. I've normally been the friend to do the cutting or the distancing or the growing and the changing. But I'm and you're like this too, we're extremely just working hard for something else, like going for something new. So as soon as you start to feel your friend group being like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that, you're like, okay, well, I need to get a new friend group. Like I got to keep growing. But I think we've hit an age where it's like we don't have many friends because we've just continuously progressed. And it just gets exhausting making new friends all the time. But that's where it's like very important if you're our type of people. Because I know there's some people that just live their best lives every single day. They have 20 plus friends. Like we were talking about that last week too. Yeah. But where was I going with this? I just completely lost my train of thought.
Outgrowing people.
the type of girls that we are is that we find that one or two solid people that can go with you through all your phases because they're just adaptable. I think you're very adaptable. I try to be very adaptable to your life.
You're adaptable to my life for sure.
Thanks. It's pretty easy. I don't know. So, no, I can't pinpoint a single girl that's done that. I do have a couple of friends that I used to be very close with, and we just got distant from each other. We were, again, going through different phases of life at a certain point, and now they're moms, and they're married, and they're just living a totally different life. So, which is totally fine. It's beautiful and wonderful for them, but it was just not something that I was working for at that point, and I'm still not. So,
I feel like the term outgrow, like you said, it's like you're both growing, but sometimes in different ways. So it's not necessarily like you outgrow, like you're doing better, but it's just you're growing in different ways.
Yeah. When I think of the word outgrow, it just makes me sound like, yeah,
I'm better than you.
I gotta go.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. Fun and cheap at-home girls' night ideas. You don't want the answer to that one.
Oh.
It involves something.
Honestly.
Oh, there's a bug. It's just a fly.
Okay.
I had a bee on me this morning.
I think I would pass out. I think I would pass out. Dead ass.
She said dead ass.
I did try to save a bee from the pool yesterday, but it died,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
she's like paranoid of bees, and then there was one drowning. She's like, we gotta save the bees. And then Reagan was like, what was she even saying? They're needed. Yeah, they're needed for our whatever the hell.
Ecosystem.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Reagan,
She threw
take
that
off
out
your
there.
science teacher hat and kill the bee, okay? Okay, at-home date night ideas for girlfriends.
I feel like a lot of, like, for me, I don't love to watch TV unless I'm, like, just vegging. And don't get me wrong, I love to veg. But I feel like when we're hanging out, we both are so aligned that we talk about, like, trips. We talk about places we want to go. We talk about our goals. We actually one time she slept over. We were both sitting on the bed just working. We're looking at each other. How you doing? How you doing?
We
Go
sound
back to work.
so lame.
I know.
Make something up. Lie.
Lie on the spot.
Lie. You know, we actually give each other facials and pedicures and back massage. No.
I would say, like, doing your skincare together. That's something
That
I
was really
enjoy.
fun. That
Like,
was fun.
Especially walking through. So if you have a
Trying
friend,
new products. Sorry,
Yeah.
I keep cutting you off. You know what? Shut up.
You shut up.
What's happening down by the pool today?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the DJ to come out.
Once he comes out, we gotta go.
Yeah.
One, because you won't be able to hear us, and two, because we gotta go to the DJ.
Facts. And we need some more sunscreen for sure today.
Okay, you were talking about skincare. Sorry.
Because I love skincare, she loves skincare, and introducing new products is always so fun. So
Yeah.
whenever we're hanging out, it's like, oh, let's do our skincare. Let's get ready and do our makeup together. And honestly, just talking. It's like you get to know people better by just talking with people and like asking about their goals, asking what they're doing, asking about how like your jewelry line is doing. Some of those things, it's just like it's easy to talk to a friend. So I would say we really don't do much of anything, but we do a lot.
We do nothing. We literally do nothing. That's
We're
why I was
kinda
like,
lame.
I can't even say like, oh, pop some popcorn and have a movie night. Some people love that, but you and I are like, we talk way too freaking much.
Yeah. Hence the timing of last week's episode.
The other thing that I really like is I obviously do content creation mostly, and so, well, fully.
I was like, fully?
Mostly. I do other things. I actually don't.
I was like, give yourself some credit, girl.
This is it. But what I was going with that is I try about like new products all the time, and I'm always like, hey, try this. This is fire. She also has the esthetician. God, why is that word so hard for me?
Well, I'm an aesthetic nurse, and then I also have my esthetician license.
Yes.
So both.
So she's a very well-rounded woman, and she like loves to talk about skincare products. So it's nice because it's like I get an honest review from a medical professional. So we go through that, or like makeup items. Anytime that I'm like, oh, Savannah, I have this. I wanted to show you, and she's like, oh, that's horrible for you. I'm like, okay, good. That's good to know. So I don't share it online. I don't promote something that could harm someone's skin or whatever, face by any means. So I don't know what else we do. We honestly just do dinner.
I do know that, like, depending on what your friend group is, it's like you guys can make dinner together. You could watch a movie or show. You can do, like, crafts, which sounds really
Wine.
lame, but, like,
No,
wine. But, like, I
paint
love
party?
crafts. But that's,
Paint party.
Let's do one. Let's do a paint party.
And I know this sounds really weird, but it's renovating our house. Savannah wasn't around for that kind of stuff. That was like right when we actually bought our house, like right before I met you.
Yeah.
But something that was actually really fun was just having girlfriends over to do like house chores. I know that sounds psycho.
No, but I get it because our house, I'm like, that actually sounds so fun.
Yeah, if you were like, hey, we're painting today, like it's so much better than you and your husband. And I love Raphael to death. But when you're going through something that's like kind of stressful, you want to get it done, you're exhausted, you're tired, everything costs fucking money. Like you're just like, I don't want to talk to you right now. Like, what are we going to, what do Raphael and I talk about when we're painting a wall? Like, God, how much does fucking paint cost us? Like, and then, it's just not as.
Actually, that is an argument that I've definitely had with my husband. So facts.
Shout out to Bear Paint, though. I know this is not like an ad by any means, but Bear Paint is literally the absolute best.
I've heard it's the fire.
It's phenomenal. And they just came out with like a one coat.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's this girl I follow from when we were doing our home renos. I'm telling you this. This is literally like not part of the pod, but whatever. Actually, anyone that's listening, this is real advice. I'm dead ass not sponsored.
This is our conversations when we have girls'
yeah,
night.
this
legit.
is how it goes. She just bought her house, and obviously we just went through a ton of renovations and such. So I have a little bit of knowledge.
Just a little.
I followed this girl from doing home renos, and she had like a really dark green room. I think her name is DIY. I don't actually know the username. It's like DIY.
I feel like I've seen her pop up on my For You page because now my whole For You page is just like house stuff, clothes.
Okay. She had a really dark, deep green room, and she wanted to paint it like a lighter green. And normally that would take like 3 coats minimum. Yeah. She literally did 1 coat of Bear. It's like their one step thing. Yeah, it's insane. But anyways, if you're
shout out to Bear.
Yeah. If you're looking to paint your house, we tried a bunch of different brands. Mm-hmm. You hear the kid?
I know. I thought it was a dog for a second.
Yeah, I wish.
Just like.
Anyways, I wanted to tell you that because that was something that genuinely we learned. We used a couple different paint brands.
And paint's expensive.
It's expensive.
Insane.
It is so expensive. We honestly are at the point of just buying the 5 gallons, even if we don't need it because, well, not anymore because we're not painting. But like we started with like 1 gallon and we're like, oh, this will do. No.
Especially if you need multiple coats. Like if you go with a cheaper or like not as like high quality paint, it's like you need more coats.
And then you, if you have any touch-ups, you have extra. You don't got to go back to the store to get another one. But
so pro tip, buy the 5 gallon right away.
This is a good question. Sorry. Okay, now I'm moving on. ADHD. I need a margarita. Let's go.
Same.
We got to do that margarita video today.
Oh, yeah.
That sound is like popping off right now.
Okay, well, let's do it.
I was like, damn, I saw it when it had like 11 videos.
Damn.
Literally.
Well, it's perfect. Now we have margaritas.
1 margarita.
2 margaritas.
I'm going to put it. Never mind. How do you deal with friends you really love, but you feel like they get jealous really easily?
That's another really good question.
She had a follow-up. She said, whenever I talk about anything bad or good, they barely listen and get distracted. Sorry.
As you get distracted.
Damn, I really didn't even plan that one. Well, because I was like, did I read that right? And then I was like, yeah, I read it right. And then I was like, and get distracted. Anyways, I read it properly. Thank you. So how do you deal with a friend that gets jealous?
You know, honestly, for a while, and I'll own up to it, I was the jealous person because I felt stagnant in where I was with my own growth. And sometimes it's like a more internal thing. But I feel like looking back at the friends that were jealous, when I was no longer friends with them, I had a sense of relief because if they're not happy for you in those happy moments that you should be celebrating, then they can't be a part of those moments. Mm-hmm. So it's going to fizzle eventually, to be honest, because you can't share those high moments with your friends. Then they're not really friends to begin with because they should be happy for you no matter what, even if it's something they want in their life. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, take it with a grain of salt. But for me, that would be like, that's not really a friend that I want in my circle anyway, because they're going to bring you down. And when you're excited about something, you should be excited. You worked hard for it. And those big life moments and achievements, you got to celebrate those because some of those are really rare and some of those are super huge. Yeah. So if you don't have friends to celebrate with you, then they shouldn't be bringing you down on the side.
Yeah. I also feel like sometimes a bad friend is like, what's the point? You know, like if you're bringing nothing, and I say bringing nothing to the table, but it can also be support, encouragement, just not being jealous. Yeah. And I wouldn't say you're a jealous friend. I think you're a want to be included for, like, if
FOMO.
Yes, literally. I don't think it's jealousy. At least for me, I haven't experienced any jealousy from you. I think it's the FOMO where you're like, well, how's it going? You really didn't want me to be there? Where was my invite?
But also, you always invite me. So
yeah, I know. So it's always like, it's that you said no and you're like, fuck, I said no.
It's a me problem.
My mom had texted me last week after watching our podcast. She goes, what does FOMO mean?
I love Sheila.
So FOMO means fear of missing out. And Savannah has that. Like, literally, FOMO is basically like if you get invited somewhere and or you say no, and then you're like, damn, I should have gone because I'm missing out. Like I'm sad. Like I hate missing out, basically.
It's because you miss out on those moments, and every moment is just a moment.
Yeah.
It's like it passes, and it's like you build your bond stronger when you can hang out with people and experience some of those things. So for me, I'm always like, well, what if?
Yeah. Another point that I wanted to make is if you're a true friend to someone, you can have hard conversations with them. Like, if you are noticing that your friend is jealous and you don't say anything, that's on you, one, because it's your responsibility to talk about your own actions. I can't stop Savannah from being jealous, but what I can say is like, hey, this is the angle that I came from. There was nothing purposeful, or it was just a me and Raphael night, something like that. And I feel comfortable saying that to you. And I also feel like she can take me saying that because it wasn't malicious. It wasn't intentional to hurt her, nothing like that.
Absolutely.
But that conversation, if you can't have a simple conversation of like, hey, your jealousy is getting out of control. Like, I don't understand what's happening here. I did used to have a girlfriend that comes to mind, and anything I would do, it was almost like she was trying to do the same. And then would get mad when her results weren't happening the way that they were happening for me. And I was like, well, that's the universe and God telling you, because that's not the life that you're meant to be living. Like,
right.
Stop being jealous, just encourage. The more we said this last time, anything you put out is what you get back. If you're giving and doing something in your life because someone else is doing it just to fit in, like, you're never going to be the person you want to be, because that's not who you're supposed to be.
And it's not meant for you. But if you do have that conversation with a friend, which I think is a super important thing to talk about, because if you don't talk to them, they never know, and they might see nothing wrong with their attitude.
Yeah.
But it's like how they respond will be a true tell of if they're there for you or they're for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Because if someone gets mad at you bringing up your like awareness of something that's bothering you, that's a little bit of a red flag in the friendship, I would say.
Yeah. One thing I hated was I've always been and you've been in a relationship forever. You've never been with anyone else, right?
No, since high school.
Yeah, that's wild to me.
Wild to me too.
But when I was going through the dating world, which thank God that's over with, but I actually had a lot of success. Like I know that sounds really weird, but like I've dated really shitty dudes. Okay, I'm not sitting here saying
Let's just start with that. I'm
not saying I had success in that way, but I had success in like finding a guy and not sleeping with them right away. That I'm huge in. I literally say to people all the time, like I had a girlfriend who would literally sleep with anyone and everyone on the first night. And I was like, stop doing that. And she was like, well, why can I not find a good guy? And I'm like, because you're giving them everything right away. They don't even know who you are. Like, they don't care about your personality. They don't give a shit about anything. They literally got what they wanted and they left. I was the girl that was like, no. Maybe it's the Libra in me. I was like, no. You're going to treat me perfect. Like, you're going to do this and this. And then you're going to not even get a kiss for the first 3 months. Dead ass.
Play hard to get.
I did not kiss Raphael for like months.
Hey, it worked for him.
Literally, I remember him looking at me and he like just grabbed my face and I was like,
that's aggressive, sir.
I was like, actually, I kind of like that.
Like, wait, come back for more.
Come here. I literally got out of his car and I like ran inside. I was like, oh my God. I literally was like a 10-year-old. I was like, oh my God, someone kissed me.
Cooties run.
Ew. It's so gross. He actually, to this day, he doesn't know where. He says something else was our first kiss, and that's a dead-ass lie.
Man.
It was in a car. It was in his car. He was dropping me back off at my apartment downtown. Anyways, I had girlfriends, and... Oh, going back to the dating stage or whatever. So, whatever. So, I was always, like, in the dating world, like, guys were like, oh, like... I had a dude one time, literally, I never kissed him in my life. I literally was just like hanging out with him a couple times. Like, it was very platonic, but I think he was like obsessed. He bought me tickets to New York for New Year's Eve ball drop, dead ass.
I remember you
for
saying
my
that.
birthday. And I looked him dead in his face. I said, I respect you, but I will not be going. Like, thank you for doing that. I don't know how much money you're going to lose out on this, but I don't even want to. I literally did not talk to him after that because I was like,
don't even want to entertain that idea.
yeah, I felt horrible because I'm like, I'm not going to go and lead you on more. Mm-hmm. I'm sad you spent this money because of me being me. I'm like, even if you spent $1 on me, I'm like, I owe you that. I literally was like, I'm so sorry, but like, this is going, like, gotta go. I actually, that's one of my things. I'm like, oh, that kind of is shitty.
Red flag.
Red flag? There was a red fucking blimpie running across the sky. That was
a
like,
red
bitch,
flag.
run.
It was a red flag for like you, because if someone buys
no,
you
that's
tickets,
what I'm saying.
yeah,
That's
it's like,
what I'm saying.
I was like, those are.
It was a full-on blimp going through the sky. Leave this guy. Run.
You ain't coming back from New York. Don't go.
Yeah. If you are ever in a scenario like that, and I know this is totally off topic, if you ever get in a scenario like that, I tell people all the time, that's on them for doing that. But if you know right away, don't feel obligated to like go because a guy did something nice or a girlfriend was like, oh my God, I want to take you to dinner. If you don't like them,
Don't go.
just don't go. Don't lead yourself on. Don't lead them on. Don't put yourself in an awkward situation. Have a backbone and just say, you know, like, I'm really sorry that you like me.
But I didn't like you that much.
I'm not even that cute.
But your intuition's there for a reason, so follow
Yes.
it. Like, if you have that gut feeling, friends, with a partner, with relationships, follow it because it's there for a reason for sure.
Yeah. Okay, we have 3 more really good ones that I want to go over, so I want to kind of get them quick. Let's try and do this one quick. Actually, come up with a code word. What's going to be the code word for the giveaway this week? Toucan.
Oh,
What do you
what
got?
bird did we see downstairs? Peacock.
Yeah, peacock.
Peacock.
I love how we both went to a bird. That was fucking
I know.
weird. Okay, peacock. Not toucan. I know I said toucan. A peacock.
Yeah, because we saw one and it was cool.
And then from last week's episode, what was our second part to it? Naming one of the girls' names that we mentioned. We mentioned a couple different girls in last week's episode.
Yep, just name one of them.
Name one of them.
And it can't be Chloe.
And it cannot be Khloe Kardashian. It has to be one of the actual names that we mentioned in like our friend group. And I want to say, okay, there was at least 1, 2, 3. I got
4.
Okay.
There was
There's
4.
at least 4. I'm going to trust her on this because I know for sure there was 3, but she says 4 and she always knows everything.
You mentioned someone else about moving cross country last week.
4.
What can I say?
The bitch is right. 4. Okay, what's an immediate red flag for you in a friendship? Try and keep this one shorter.
That's a tough one. That's actually really tough because for me, I'm a people pleaser. So if I take multiple things to like officially affect me, I think the jealousy is a huge piece of it for me. And if someone can't be supportive of my wins, that's where I'm like, I would rather not have you in my life because it gives me too much trauma to internalize if you're not going to support me. So I'd say not supportive.
Okay, you're going to laugh at mine maybe.
She had more time to think about it.
No. This is so serious to me. If you're friends with everyone.
Oh, yeah.
I hate that. If I'm around a girl that is like, oh my God, like friends with anyone and everyone under the sun, they have a ton of followers on like, or like follow like different people. And why? You know that Taylor Swift lyric when it's like, if you're a friend to all, you're a friend to none? Because at the end of the day, I don't trust you. Like, especially if you come to the friend group or if you come out and you're starting talking shit about other people right away, I'm like, I know you do that about me.
Oh, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, I hate that.
That's a huge thing.
I hate that. And it's always the girls that have a ton of friends in every friend group, and they're always like,
oh, absolutely.
or if something goes down and I'm like, oh yeah, I hate Savannah. She did this and this. She's a bad person. Oh, but she didn't do anything to me. Like,
right. Well, and one thing I've always tried, going off of that, one thing I've tried to instill in myself is if I'm going to say it behind their back, like if I say something to Coast about Catherine, I would say it to her face.
Yes.
That's something that
I've grown into that, though. I used to not be like that.
This year was when I really was like, I have to change how I think. If I want to be a better friend, I have to be true to myself and also true to my friends.
That actually just came up in our family. Someone had said something to me about someone else, and they were like, I don't know what I can relay because I don't know what you don't want me to say. And I said, I don't care. I was like, I literally do not care. Everything I've said, I have said to that person, or I would if they were to face me.
Right.
So
you got to face me first.
You got to face me. How do you always deal with your BFF talking money and making you feel lower?
I think if they're making you feel lower, that's not a BFF, truthfully, because even though people have different paths in life and one might make more money, one might be more successful in our job but make less money, and it's not a comparison. I think we get so caught in the comparison of like what we have to be equal, but we're not meant to be equal. As long as we can support each other and be there for each other. I've never had a friend that's throwing stuff in my face who's making more money or anything like that, so I haven't personally had to deal with it. But if I had to, I would say that's not really a true friend if they're really throwing it in your face all the time.
I think it can go 2 different ways. And so I always tell people this all the time. I come from the finance world. I literally started my first job at a massive bank. Banking was my shit. I loved personal credit. I was actually specialized in personal credit. Anything. I knew a lot of it, but seeing numbers and like I had the 3M CEO in my window. I was like helping the tellers one day. Actually, I think I was a teller at this point. Anyways, he came up and like all his stuff was completely private. You can't see a single number. And that's how you know they're extremely, extremely wealthy. And he was like, oh, I need to take this amount of money out of this account. I'm buying my daughter a house in like Switzerland or some shit. And it was like a fat cashier's check. And he literally just knew that that money was there and it was in cash. Like, I'm like, okay. But I'm so desensitized to numbers that Raphael and I literally talk numbers 24/7 because it's just who we are. I think sometimes, and I tell you, like, because again, she's like, I want to get into social media. And I'm like, hey, this and this is what they're asking for. This is what they're paying, because I want you to be like, because she's getting DMs now like, hey, we would love to work together for, I'll send you the product, but for free stuff. And I'm like, Savannah, you don't do that. Like, know your own worth right away. I think talking about numbers, the more, like, even just this last year of like content creating full time, I've hired on an accountant. I have a tax strategist, just kind of helping, like, what do we need to be putting our money into? God forbid if everything shuts down tomorrow, or I'm going on kind of a tangent because money to me is just so normalized in my world that when I talk about it, I do feel when people get kind of up like tense, and I'm like, I'm not saying it because I'm judging you. You can have $10 in your bank account or $10 million in your bank account, but if you have a question and you want to know how to buy the next car or how to save up $10,000 or how to pay off your credit card, I'm totally cool with being like, here's this, and this. So I think it's a twofold. I think, yes, if they're making you feel grimy or less than, walk away. But if they're talking in the knowledge sense, because Raphael and I talk about taxes all the time, like, hey, like, this is where we bought this because it saves us here, or we're paying more in here because it's not worth buying more, or whatever. Again, that's a whole tangent, but
going off on that tangent, because it also depends on how you grow up, like, and where you're from, because my parents were both super poor, but they worked their asses off. So I grew up with money being a topic of conversation. So talking about money isn't awkward to me. I also am one of those people that it's like, even if someone offers to pay for dinner, I'm still throwing in my card because I don't like to have that. And if they hand me the card, that's on them. But growing up with a little bit of money changes how people view money. And if they grew up with money, it changes their perspective.
I am so happy you brought that up.
Thank you.
I literally am obsessed with the fact that you brought that up, because Rafa and I talk about that a lot. I feel like, and I'm going to be this is probably going to be, people might get upset with this. I feel like rich and wealthy people talk about it. Because again, it's just so normal. I'm desensitized because I worked in the field. I'm not sitting here saying I'm a millionaire, but millionaires talk about it. They say, this is what we did.
I'm not a millionaire either, just so y'all know.
This is where we put our investments. This is where we put money. So it's free money. The more, like, you were like, hey, Morgan Stanley has an account right now that's the highest interest rate on the market if you want to move money there. Granted, they have limits, so we didn't do that because you have to have a minimum, and I didn't have the minimum. But anyways, that was free money. Like, it was like, what, 4%?
Yeah, I was like 4%.
But Wells Fargo right now is like 0.04. Yeah. So that's where rich people or wealthy people or money knowledgeable people are like, if you have the money sitting in a savings account at Wells Fargo, move it over to Morgan Stanley and make free $4,000 or whatever it is, depending on how much you move over. But it's just like that. Or Raphael's huge into getting into investments and real estate and all that stuff. And I think that poor people stay poor. And I hate the word poor. I don't like that word. But underclass, what is the word?
I feel like it's either way. It sounds like we're being mean, but we're not being mean. It's just a different, like not a lower class. But
this is like statistically proven, though.
I know.
Literally, like in corporate America, they tell you not to talk about your wages, because if you talk about it, then you're going to be like, oh, Savannah makes $20,000 more than me, and she started a year after me and has way less education. Like, I'm confused. They literally do that to keep you in the
bubble
circle
that you're in.
Yes. Because as soon as people start bursting out of these bubbles, what the fuck is gonna happen?
Right. Well, and if you have that friend that is putting money in your face, if they're a really good friend and you love them, talk to them about it and then ask them questions. It's like, they got there. How? Learn from them.
Yes.
Because like even Raphael, if you ask him about stocks, which I don't ask about stocks. My dad does stocks. I don't ask. But he's someone that will talk about it and like let you know and answer those questions. And you can't propel forward in an area that you want to unless you ask questions.
Yeah. And I know that, like, I'm probably going to get backlash for this because I already know that people are going to be like, but, because Raphael and I talk about this all the time of like, even we just talk about like interrelational relationships and just like our different backgrounds of culture of like he had less opportunities because of the area he lived in and like the all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I fully am aware that like say if you make minimum wage and you're living paycheck to paycheck and you're like, oh, well, if I just talk about it, it'll change. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that. And I'm fully aware that there's a lot going on. But the more comfortable you get speaking about money and saying, how do I get there? Like, because I've worked a minimum wage job many years in a row. Even before, like, COVID, anyways, we're not going to get into this.
Those were some times.
I've been through it. I've been very poor. My family was not very wealthy growing up. It just is what it is. But I think the more that you can learn and absorb knowledge,
strive for the life you want. If that's what you want, go for it. And there's no one path. There's no one right way to get there. You just have to take it each day and just keep working for it.
Yeah. I know we just got totally off. If your friend makes you feel like shit talking about money, maybe that's not a friend. Or be like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's just not talk about money. But if they're doing it to educate and expand their knowledge and expand your knowledge, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I mean, we genuinely talk about taxes all the time. I talk about numbers all the time with her. She tells me, I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah. After a while,
keep it on.
And after a while, like you said, you become desensitized. You worked in a bank. For me, my dad's a stockbroker, so money was a topic of conversation all the time. It still is at dinner. He'll be like, oh, do you see the stocks today? I'm like, no, I didn't. I don't get all the numbers.
No, I didn't.
But it desensitize and just talk about it. But definitely have a conversation with your friend about that because it is uncomfortable for you. And if it's uncomfortable, you can't grow in your friendship.
Yeah.
Because it's holding you back.
Okay, last one. What's your favorite thing about each other?
I love
so
this
cute.
question.
Do you love me?
I love you. It's crazy. We just had a conversation last night, actually, down after dinner. And it's like, it's crazy. My whole life, I can honestly say I've never felt like I had a best friend to this point. And then I met Catherine and I was like, okay, yeah, I kind of like her. She's kind of nice.
Hi.
And we just aligned on so many things that I feel it's more than a best friend. I almost feel like she's like my sister. Like it's like that twin flame where it's like we're connected in such a weird way. It's like I'll say something like the whole bird thing. It's like we think the exact same.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
But I would say probably my favorite thing is that she pulls me out of my comfort zone and challenges me in ways that I've never been challenged. And that's really impressive for a friend to be able to do. Because I won't let my husband do that. No.
Yeah. Come on.
So I would say she definitely pushes me.
So you want to go ziplining today?
We'll talk about this off camera.
Don't get me there. I want to say mine is that, because you're right, I've never had a sister, so like I don't know what a sister feels like. But my girlfriend Haley feels like genuinely family. I feel like that's kind of the same role. I feel like they're friends, but it's like you're not friends anymore. You're like too intertwined. You're just like,
yeah, we know too much.
Yeah, you know too much. But what my favorite thing is I've never had a girlfriend that loves the same stuff that I love, like ever. I've always had a friend like I've always loved to get dressed up and go out to dinner, even if we're just going to fucking dinner. I'm like, I want to put on heels. Like, I want to do my makeup. And then I have people like my girlfriend Haley. She's like, can we go to the hole in the wall? Like, I want to wear my sweatpants. And I'm like, okay.
Sweatpants
Which
with
is
heels?
fine. It is very fun. Like, but there's some times where I'm like, I want to do something different. Or like this. Like, anywhere we stay, or I'll be like, hey. She'll be like, what are you thinking? I'll be like, what are you thinking? Mexico? New York?
New York?
Literally, that is my favorite part. So I don't know. I love that you're just so down to do all of it. My husband is like, you gotta stop pressuring her, and I'm like, I don't. She literally just says yes.
I'm a yes girl for sure, but it's like you just have to ask. If you don't ask, I can't say yes.
Yeah. Let's wrap this one up. I think we got a lot of good questions. I'm gonna try and film a couple more podcasts while we're in Mexico. I really want Rafael and I to do one. This will be next week, so this is coming out this Thursday. Following week, I'm going to talk about Rafael's and I's first year as a newlywed couple because we just celebrated our 1-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
I know.
You made it.
I don't even know how. I literally don't know how.
Day at a time.
Not because of him, but just because this year was just a fucking rough ass year. I don't even know how I'm here, but it's fine.
They say if you go through the hardest stuff in the first year of marriage, your bond is so much stronger.
Oh, wonderful.
So,
thanks, Dad. Love ya. Thanks
really
for taking one for the team for me and Rafael. That's so nice of you. Anyways, we're going to wrap this episode up. I am going to be down by the pool today, I think. What are you going to? Yeah, we're doing
with a
pool.
lot of sunscreen on.
Yeah, we got a little sunburn.
Mommy.
But thank you for tuning in. Again, the giveaway will be going live this coming week after this episode goes live. So probably Friday or Saturday. We'll let you guys know what's coming. So remember your code word.
Where do they put in the code word?
This will all be on Instagram. Thank you for doing that. Thanks. It'll be
covered.
on I Think I'm Humans 2's page. So make sure you follow there on Instagram. What else do we got? Anything else? What else life update? We're here for today, tomorrow, and then we leave Thursday morning. So
Yeah. And
by the time you're listening to this, we'll be on the flight back home.
we'll be in the same state as some of y'all.
Yeah.
Back in the country for sure.
Back in the country. What else? Anything else?
That's it. I hope all of you guys have a really wonderful day as
You're
you're
so
listening
cute.
to
She
this.
says, I hope you guys have a really wonderful day.
We'll be wonderful.
They're like, bitch, we're working.
Hey,
you guys are the ones on vacation.
multitaskers.
Yes. Oh, shout out to Puerto Vallarta. Vallarta? Vallarta? I don't know.
Puerto
I'm so sorry.
Vallarta?
I'm so bad at this. I literally don't know where we even are.
Vallarta.
I've been posting it nonstop on Instagram. They did invite us out to like review their resort. It's absolutely phenomenal. I would say the food. I wish it was a little bit better. There's hit or miss things. There's stuff
Yeah.
that's phenomenal, and then there's stuff that's like, okay, this is for the birds.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that, but the pools has been amazing. Every one of the workers has been so
Service,
kind.
yes.
It's just amazing.
They had us for dinner under a teepee
Teepee.
on the beach. It was wonderful. Everything's on Instagram. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye. Bye. 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 Thanks for being my friend.
You're welcome.